Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be doing a review for Spider Society #1. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. Let's talk about the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Alex Segura with art by Scott Godlowski, colors by Matt Miller, letters by Joe Caramagna, main cover by Pete Woods. You'll also see a few other covers at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. This is kind of the Spider book for the summer. We are getting to the end of the summer, but of course, we got to have a Spider Verse crossover. So, in this book, every Spider character that you love and some you have yet to meet. Uh, May the first meeting of the Spider Society commence. That's right, every Spider character. It's finally showing up in the same room for the most crazy meeting in the multiverse. Do not miss the start of this incredible new miniseries. In this book, we see that Madam Web has sent a threat across the span of the web of life and the web of destiny, but doesn't know the exact details. We have some spiders that are missing. We have some spiders that have been tasked with specific stuff, including Miguel O'Hara, Anya Corazon. I do like that. I appreciate that this book gives us a kind of point of view from Miles and Wen Ghost Spider because they have gone through a lot in the past few, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, months, if you will, in the Marvel universe. Especially after all that happened with Blood Hunt, Miles has changed a little bit, and of course, when being stuck in 616, that's also changed things a little bit. So, I think Scott Gazowski really captures the essence of like how dynamic these characters need to be as Spider people. And of course, we're gonna get to see a plethora of designs, some old, some new, some redesigned. So that's a lot of fun. So this book really has everything, and it delivers overall a pretty interesting premise to kind of kick things off. I don't know where this is going. I don't know how grand of an event this is going to be. We have the Venom War also going on. Blood Hunt just wrapped up, and then of course all the X-Men line just pretty much doing everything that they can on their own side. So this is going to be interesting to follow. But let's take a look at some of the art because I think it really deserves a little bit of praise here. Like I mentioned, very casual. I love that they're kind of hanging out together. Miles and Gwen have had a relationship, if you will, up and down, not just romantic, but just as really people that kind of have to work together. And I really love how they still have a competitive edge, trying to figure out who the best spider person can be. And then, of course, look at that. We move into the Spider Society and just like Easter eggs galore. It is really fun. Really cool to see all these spider people and spider beings just lumped into one place, including that. I forget the name of the T-Rex, but yeah, there's a lot of surprises. We're introduced or reintroduced to a character that you might have seen in some of the films, which is always cool when the Into the Spider-Verse characters make it across back to, I guess, original characters to the Into the Spider-Verse universe at Sony make it into the comic book. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, this is fun. Really, really enjoying this. Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for X-Men #2. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. Let's talk about the creative team before we get into this. This is written by Jed MacKay with pencils by Ryan Stegman, inks by J.P. Mayer, colors by Marte Gracia and Ferris Fuentes Sujo, letters by Clayton Cowles. This team is comprised of Cyclops, Beast, Magneto, Psylocke, Kid Omega, Temper, Magic, and the Juggernaut. Yes, that's right. This is the second issue of the old brand new series From the Ashes, a new beginning for the X-Men. For those catching up, Krakoa was disbanded. This group of X-Men have set up in Alaska, and they're really just out there in a mission to save as many mutants as they can. In this issue, Invasion, the X-Men fly to the rescue of a mutant in crisis in San Francisco. The problem? Alien invaders seem to have a similar idea. 6 X-Men versus an invading alien fleet. Sounds about right. Also, if you've been following that Deadpool Wolverine weapon extraction little mini story, this is the last part here. I haven't been reading that. I don't know what books this is across. I just know that it's it's kind of a smittered all about all across the X-Men line. So uh this is a really fun issue. I think the only thing I have to do is kind of recalibrate to make sure that I go into these X-Men books knowing that they're gonna be a little bit more disjointed and disconnected from each other than in the Krakoan Age. I think one of the things that the Krakoan Age brought was an overarching story, so you could really feel how a lot of those things ultimately were gonna end up connecting each other. This is an interesting team. I don't think that we've seen the full extent of what Jed McKay is trying to do, and but I think he's captured the voices. I think Cyclops and Kid Omega have a very fun dynamic. Magic and the Juggernaut as well. I do want to hear a little bit more from Psylocke and Temper to understand where do they really fit in the big picture. This was overall pretty much a beast list episode or issue, but I think it's got a really fun idea and a really fun kind of twist all over the place. It's also fun to see the X-Men kind of gallivanting all over the world now, as opposed to just being in one place. So that part of that aspect of it is fun. I'm a big fan of Ryan Stegman. I think he does, especially these alien designs. I think he went all out with that, and the character designs or redesigns. I think they look very cool. I don't know if they're for everyone. I don't know if Ryan Stegman styles is for everyone. But I appreciate it. I enjoy it, and I like what it's bringing, especially with these like really big fights, space invasion ideas that we're seeing in this issue. I think they really work. So let's take a look at some of that art now. Here's the mutant that we are meeting. I gotta say, there's definitely a lot of pink in this issue, just all across. Whenever it comes to the telekinetic, the color palette is very, very much heavily influenced by the pink purples of in that tone. That definitely feels. It gives me a sense that something's a little bit off, and maybe that's the point because there's definitely a bit of a twist here. I love this panel with all these aliens, and then once you figure out what's going on, I think that's the best part, right? And yeah, just like I said, Stegman, very dynamic movements. I think the Krakoan age gave us different looks and different approaches to the art. But here we are kind of back to a more traditional house style, which, I also appreciate. So yeah, this is great. Just big fights, a lot of bullets flying around. The characters are definitely there's a lot of banter between the characters, but also you can see a lot of teamwork. They deploy a very interesting weapon in this issue. So yeah, overall, really enjoying this. I'm having a good time with it, and I hope other people are, or maybe people are coming back into the fold. So hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for The Ultimates #3. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. Let's talk about the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Dennis Camp, with art by Juan Frigeri, colors by Federico Blee, letters by Travis Lanham. Main cover, amazing main cover by Dick Iran and Niraj Menon. And we'll see some other covers at the end of the video. Stay tuned for that. Let's talk about who the Ultimates are. Talk about the roster to give you a quick catch up in the story. So we have Tony Stark, the Iron Lad. We have Doom, Reed Richards, Captain America, Steve Rogers, who they brought back from the ice. We have the Thor, the God of Thunder. We have Sif, the Warrior Goddess, who is Thor's keeper for now. We also have the introduction of Giant Man, Hank Pym, Wasp, Janet Van Dyne, and most recently, America Chavez, the cosmic powerhouse. I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's weird. That it's funny because her name is America Chavez, right? Everybody has a either a code name or or a pseudonym or whatever. So, in this issue, though, we are introducing the She-Hulk, the ultimate search for the means of destroying the Maker's most powerful pawn, the Hulk. And in the process, they uncover an army of Hulks hidden away from the world, with She-Hulk at the helm. But this is a very different She-Hulk. This is a very different origin story for this, and I really, really thought it was cool. I enjoyed kind of what was going on, and just the first few pages are without dialogue because they just I think the approach was just like, let's just give you the story that's happening here. So yeah, it's very interesting. It's very cool. It's a great approach to introduce this new character, or reintroduce an existing character into this new universe with a completely different background story. Um, it also really puts the character of Tony Stark, Iron Lad, to the test. Is he up to the challenge of what everything that he needs to do to remake this world as is their mission? And remaking the world sometimes means that they have to make sacrifices, make things for the better, not just focus on their specific goals, but focus on the benefit of everyone else. And of course, how will the Hulk and the rest of the world react to the appearance of this? Yeah, this book gets um, pretty messed up at some points. It gets very interesting and just and of course we have a lot of action and violence. And I think Juan Frigeri, I'm not sure if he's the one that designed the She-Hulk, but it looks great. It's a fantastic looking issue. So Dennis Camp and Juan Frigeri are just really knocking it out of the park with this series so far. Let's take a look at the art so you know what I'm talking about. Here we catch up. These are the pages with that dialogue I was mentioning earlier. We get to see this is the Pacific Proving Grounds, where the Hulk was born in this universe. And I just love you see the gamma explosion, and of course the fallout coming into people that were close by. So that everybody's being affected by this, including this young girl, which is just wild to imagine that people are just all this fallout coming into their lives, and they are unaware of what effects it's going to have on them. And keep an eye on some of these characters. You may be seeing them later in the issue. And then, of course, we have now some of the Ultimates arrive into the island, and they are immediately confronted by this gigantic lizard. And of course, Thor and Sif, they only know one way to solve things, and that is to fight. Hopefully, Tony can help them reach a different approach. But yeah, it looks very cool. I really enjoyed it. I really think that Dennis Camp is really working on something pretty fun and pretty special here. So I'm excited to see where this goes once all the pieces are kind of in place. We do have that ticking time clock of when the maker will return, right? He's only been sealed away for a very specific amount of time. So yeah, this is intriguing, and the stakes get higher and higher every issue. And we're only at the third one, so that's pretty crazy that they've been able to add so much into this world in just so few issues. So hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Vengeance of the Moon Knight number 8. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. Let's talk about the creative team. This issue is written by Jed MacKay with art by Devmalia Pramanik, with colors by Rachel Rosenberg, letters by Corey Petit. Really cool cover by David Paratore. Now, unfortunate, or I guess only unfortunate because I love Alessandro Capuccio's art, and I've been really following his art for throughout this whole run. But I think Pramanik, it really works. It really fits in. It has every artist that has come into as the is either as part of the rotation in the Moon Knight series. Really, they found people that have a very similar style to what Capuccio can deliver. And I think that gives a lot of consistency to the story and the characters. So I really appreciate that. Jed MacKay has been living with these characters for so long now that you can tell he really understands their voices. They feel also very consistent. They very efficiently give you a little bit of what's going on in case you're not reading everything. This is obviously post Blood Hunt, so there's going to be some gaps, but the character dialogue really fills in some of those gaps. So you're able to continue enjoying the story even if you chose not to read the main Blood Hunt event. Now, I will say I recommend you read Blood Hunt. I think it's great. Matter of fact, you should probably read any book that Jed MacKay is writing, which includes the Avengers, Blood Hunt. Oh, I guess Blood Hunt that has wrapped up. Also, the new X-Men, the main X-Men book, and of course, continuing all the stuff with Moon Knight. So. And as I mentioned, the art works really great. It's very dynamic when it needs to be. The character designs feel like what we've been following along. So let's go take a look at some of that art now. Here we have the Midnight Missions being attacked. There's a truck oncoming, and I think Dr. Reese understands. I mean, the doctor understands that Reese and Soldier need they need they need blood to keep going, which is obviously something they don't like to drink human blood. That's part of kind of what's been keeping them separated from all the other vampires. But at this point, you got to do what you got to do. There's a really cool moment where, because of all the everything that happened in Blood Hunt, vampires can now be in the sunlight and without like exploding or burning up. We'll see how long that stays around. So we'll see. But yeah, it's really cool. And then of course, if you've been reading Moon Knight is back, the original Mark Spector Moon Knight, along with Khonshu. So there's going to be a little bit of fallout from that. And of course, Tigra, Hunter's Moon, the whole Midnight Mission, the team's finally getting back together. One thing that was really interesting to me, and I don't know what's going on, there's a Coca-Cola variant edition at the end. You'll see it at the end of the video. Uh, I was not expecting that. I don't know where you can buy that. I don't know what the partnership is there with Coca-Cola. I just thought it was really funny when I was looking, to put assets together for the video. So if you picked up that Coca-Cola edition, let me know what's the story behind that if you know it. So as always, hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Ultimate Spider-Man number 8. We continue to travel along this Ultimate universe over at Marvel, but let's talk about the creative team before we get into the book. This book is written by Jonathan Hickman with art by Marco Cicchetto, colors by Matthew Wilson, letters by Corey Petit, main cover by Cicchetto and Wilson, with also some variant covers you'll see at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. Very, very interesting stuff. Right in the last issue, we saw the return of Iron Lad, Tony Stark, and they're to kind of, I guess, check in on Peter. Right, he's the one that kind of set things in motion. Also, both the suits, the Green Goblin suit and the Spider-Man suit, now have their own personalities that were added in the last, that was unlocked and set up in the last issue. But in this issue, we have the Kingpin Sinister Six. Kingpin gathers a team to deal with the mass vigilante problem, but a group of supervillains isn't the only challenge Spider-Man would face. Meanwhile, Green Goblin joined forces with Doc Ock? Question mark. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think if you have been reading if you've ever read any Spider-Man books, both Green Goblin and Dr. Octavius are antagonists of Spider-Man. So, but in this universe, things are different. They've been friends, for a little while. So, let me give you a quick rundown of the cast because Marvel puts this in the book, so I figured it's a good idea. We have the Parker family. We have, of course, Peter Parker, MJ, and the kids, Richard and May. We also have Harry Osborn, the Green Goblin, his wife, girlfriend, Gwen Stacy, and also she's a business partner of Ben Parker, who's alive, who's Peter's uncle. J. Jonah Jameson, who's also a business partner of Ben Parker. They're starting up their own newspaper. We also have Otto Octavius, who's an Oscorp scientist, and Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, who needs probably very little introduction. This was a very interesting issue. I think Jonathan Hickman has this this countdown coming to when the Maker will return to undo everything, or like to kind of keep moving along with his plans, right? But throughout the whole way, we've been seeing little seeds planted of Peter and his work getting more and more complicated while he continues to try to maintain a balance. Now, I think it's cool that he has actually let his family know in on the secret. So that's a lot of fun because it's very different. This is also an older Peter, more mature, with different problems in a different whole completely set up. I still continue to really enjoy the Ben Parker, J. Jonah Jameson of it all. They really feel like they could have their own series really, which I think would be really fun, like a frontline type of series where it's just like they discover stories and explore stories from this Ultimate Universe, and that could be a really fun way to build a world. I also think the AI inclusion of the voices in the suits are interesting, right? I think Harry picked his father's voice, his father's consciousness, while Peter picked himself. So I think both of those are troubling on different levels. And of course, Marco Cicchetto continues to just deliver outstanding art. Like, let's just take a look at it. Some of the preview pages. You know, great setup shots. Just to bring us in. It's August. It's the summer. It's different. Things are time is moving forward. It's the kids' birthdays and they're going on a party. But Peter takes some time to not only step away from the suit, but also just to talk to it and explore a little bit that relationship. So that's kind of interesting. And then, Peter definitely doesn't really understand or fully realize what's going on. I think with the suit, I think there's a lot more to it. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to figure out where Jonathan Hickman's going with that, and the way that Chicharro draws like the suit kind of overtaking him, not so much in a symbiote type of way, but if you look at the lettering, that's very similar to the way that the coloring for Symbio, right? With the inverted black in the background and white in the foreground lettering. So, and of course, we also catch up with Iron Lad showing up in the last issue. So, yeah, a lot of really cool stuff. I think you're gonna enjoy the roster that they have picked for Kingpin Sinister Six. You'd probably get a little sneak peek of it at the end of the video with one of the variant covers. So that'll be fun. It's definitely very different. I think Chichero does some really interesting character redesigns and updates. So yeah, I'm excited for this. This book is probably continues to be one of my favorite ongoings over at Marvel, if not my favorite. It's hard to tell. Like I really have to take a step back. There's a few things that are really on point. So hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Wolverine Revenge #1. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. I will be talking about the normal version. Not there's a red band version of this floating around. Now I picked up the regular version for now at my shop. Hopefully, I can get the red band version and figure out what the differences are. So if I do get one, I'll definitely make a follow video to this. But let's talk about the creative team so we can get into this book and talk more about what's going on, because the creative team is one of the reasons that I'm into this series. This book is written by Jonathan Hickman with pencils by the amazing legend Greg Capullo, inks by Tim Townsend, colors by FCO Placencia, letters by Corey Petit. So yeah, that is the draw for me in this book. Obviously, I like Wolverine; he's one of my favorite characters. But Greg Capullo, one of the artists that introduced me to comic book reading, with his Batman series over at DC with Scott Snyder. He's back. He's back in the pages of Marvel. He's doing interiors, and I'm very excited. And of course, teaming up with Jonathan Hickman, like what a team of legends. So, in this book, Hickman and Capullo join forces for an epic Wolverine tale like no other. Greg Capullo makes his grand return to Marvel Comics storytelling as he and Jonathan Hickman pit Wolverine against a cadre of foes who will turn his world upside down. He's been beaten, he's been bloodied, and Logan has only one thought in his mind: revenge. Do not miss the Prestige miniseries set to become one of the defining tales in Wolverine's storied legend. I mean, that's a pretty high bar that you're setting up there with that description, but I can definitely see this team pulling it off. This also feels like one of those stories where um, I hate just comparing this to like the Dark Knight Returns, but it really feels like they're going for something like that, right? We're gonna take Wolverine, pushing to the limits, make the world the worst that it can be, to see how Wolverine can function. So yeah, in this issue, we see that um, Asteroid M, the Magneto's base in space, crash landed on Earth, took out a whole bunch of the population, set off an EMP. So like the world is in chaos, and their Brotherhood of Mutants is taking advantage of that. So Wolverine is brought into the fold to try to make things right. So let's take a look at some of the preview art. Now, I think Greg Capullo's style has just gotten better over the years and just continues to evolve. But but the main stuff is there. Like the stuff that I like is there. Like his character designs, he has a very interesting way to do like the grins and the faces and the expressions. I think his faces are pretty expressive. It is also very traditional style. I think as far as the pacing, I really love, especially like when it comes to fight scenes. I think Capullo is very good at laying out. the pages so that they look interesting. I love this page here. He jumps at the dinosaur. You see the claws pop at the top. Oop. You see the claws pop at the top. He jumps at the dinosaur, and then you see like the 4 panels that kind of begin that battle, right? And then also, like I said, you get to see a lot of different characters. I do think this his mastermind gives me it's giving a little bit of his Alfred, so that's really interesting to see. Um, and yeah, just seeing all these characters come together. We have the Holland Commandos, Maria Hill, Winter Soldier, Cap, and of course Wolverine working with Nick Fury to try to solve all this mess. So yeah, it's an interesting story. It goes in a very weird way. Like it just goes off the rails immediately in the first issue, but I think it sets all that up so that we can have a really cool story of revenge later on. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this first issue. Like I said, I was already sold on the team even before anything came across. So very excited for this. So if you read this, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching, everyone. Let me know which of the covers you picked up. Like I said, if I get a hold of one of those red band versions, I'll definitely do a follow-up video to tell you a little bit of the differences. So thanks for watching and stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff in the channel. Bye-bye.